I think this is maybe the most important thing the 115th Congress accomplished, and that is snaking into the tax reform this depletion of the individual mandate for Obamacare. Because what this did, Tom, was light a fuse. And now the firecracker is going off in court.
Well, it appears so. They were right to pass that. The mandate is not a tax. It's a forced mandate is what it is. So the Supreme Court was wrong. Any challenge to it, Graham, is good.
Yeah.
And this challenge is good. It may be overruled. That's the speculation, of course, as you know, the Fifth Circuit in Texas. But the truth is, any challenge to this law is good. What's most interesting is how the healthcare stocks are behaving. If you look at the big cap healthcare stocks today, they're down worse than other sectors despite the bad market. And the reason is because big government, Graham, and big business are good bedfellows.
Yeah.
And they benefited tremendously from this big giveaway. And now look at them, they're getting creamed. I mean, it's fascinating to see that part of it that's not often talked about.
We are subsidizing these healthcare companies. Our tax dollars are going to them. That's the only reason why they agreed to participate. They had to be bribed when this thing was being set up. But here's what scares me, Tom. We have Congress now on the hook. Let's project this out. The Supreme Court rules Obamacare unconstitutional. You're going to have Congress scrambling to, quote, do something, when in the end, we ought to let the free market be the free market. You agree?
Absolutely. I mean, healthcare costs would be so much lower if we had to pay for it like any other service. I will say, Graham, there's something really interesting in the Affordable Care Act. You know, I hate the bill, by the way, so let me put that caveat in. But they allowed what they call alternative payment models to be experimented with by Medicare, which actually use free market solutions. If they kept that one part of Obamacare, got rid of everything else, we actually might bend the cost curve. I don't know if you've looked at those, but that is an interesting part of it.
Health care savings accounts are a good thing. These exchanges that you're talking about that are outside of Obamacare, many of them based on faith and churches, they're wonderful alternatives, and as you said, they have proven to work. Now, in a couple of days, about less than 48 hours from now, Federal Reserve is going to come out and they're going to say, yes, we're going to ratchet up interest rates another quarter point, or no, we're going to, well, I suppose they could cut them, but I don't think it's going to happen. They could either say, no, we're not going to do anything, or yes, we're going to ratchet it up. It seems to me that this is a bad news scenario no matter what they choose. It's going to be bad news if they do raise interest rates because it's going to maybe stall markets a little bit more, but it's also bad news if they don't raise interest rates because that would be an indication that the economy is not that strong.
Honestly, I don't believe with that latter assertion, with due respect. And the reason is because it's just no way to look at interest rates. There's no inflation, Graham. They've raised 5 times. They've also reversing something that was unprecedented in human history, which was called quantitative easing, the creation of, increasing the money supply by 400%. We've already gone over the problem with our Treasury debt, $11.1 trillion coming due in 5 years, right. $3.5 trillion next year. Graham, they need to do this now. They need to pause now. They do not, and luckily, we've got a growing economy, Graham, thanks to Trumponomics. I heard you had Laffer on earlier.
Yeah.
But thanks to Trumponomics, we have a growing economy and we have little inflation because of the supply side policy changes enacted by this president. So in that kind of environment, the Fed is very lucky. And they don't have to be pressured to raise rates, and they shouldn't. And this stock market right now that you're witnessing is 100% related to Wednesday's hurdle. They've got to back Graham.
I think that you're right. I think that if the Fed decides not to raise rates, right now the stock market we're looking at is cratering out, hitting lows that it hadn't been at for over a year. I think it's going to look like a giant buying opportunity. Tom, thanks.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly